Now to some developing news from Mexico. We're learning.
A major winter storm coming during a peak time in a record-setting holiday travel season.
Are y'all seeing what I'm seeing flying in the sky?
What does that mean?
Is this just a coincidence? Or is the final bell ringing for humanity? Right at the start of 2026, the earth is shaking, the sky is roaring, time feels squeezed in those wild and rushed moments. Earthquakes are cracking open cities, strange clouds stretch out like ladders to heaven, mysterious objects glide through the dark night, snow and floods take turns burying whole streets, fires and lights burst out all at once, tearing across the familiar sky. Do you think this is nature getting angry, or some unseen hand shaking the world? 10 events, 10 hard hits between heaven and earth, like scattered pieces slowly coming together into a picture you can't ignore. Stick around till the end, because each one leaves a scary, empty feeling. And if worry starts creeping into your heart, leave a prayer in the comments below, asking the Lord to protect the world as everything shifts, getting closer to the final days. Now come along with me as we dig deep into the full truth hidden behind these shocking events right before the new year of 2026. We'll start right away with 1. Earthquake shakes Guerrero, Mexico. The ground is trembling. Early in the morning on January 2, 2026, when many folks were still shaking off the New Year's celebrations and not fully awake yet, the ground suddenly roared like a giant creature waking up. The air got thick with that invisible fear, and in that moment, we realized how quickly our usual sense of safety can vanish, even when we're standing still on land we thought was solid. A 6.5 magnitude quake hit the state of Guerrero in southern Mexico, with the epicenter near San Marcos, about 40 miles from Acapulco. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, it was at a depth of around 21.7 miles, shallow enough to send strong shaking across hundreds of miles, making Mexico City home to over 20 million people sway noticeably for several long, breathless seconds. In Guerrero, the ground cracked open, dust filled the air, and homes shook hard. In Mexico City, the famous Angel of Independence statue swayed like it might topple. Lights swung back and forth, and alarms blared across the downtown areas. Videos from La Raza National Medical Center showed patients and staff panicking as they rushed out amid the ongoing jolts, while traffic ground to a halt and many roads were blocked off. Early reports from Reuters and AP News said at least 2 people died, dozens were injured, and hundreds of buildings were damaged in varying degrees. The shaking even reached Acapulco, where the air traffic control tower at the airport was badly affected, forcing flights to stop. The earth wouldn't stay still, and that uneasy feeling spread faster than the aftershocks. Matthew 24:7 once warned, "For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places." Those Bible words ring like a bell as the world steps into the new year with strong shaking right from the foundation. Geologists explain that the Guerrero area sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the Cocos Plate keeps sliding under the North American Plate, building up pressure over a long time. Mexican authorities quickly issued warnings, urging people to stay away from buildings that might collapse and to prepare for possible aftershocks over the coming days. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and pestilences, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven." These words aren't meant to explain the science, but to wake us up to the changes we can't control. This isn't just another earthquake logged in the scientific records. It's the first sign of 2026, as if the earth and sky are groaning, reminding us that the world didn't enter the new year in peace, but with a warning. And if this is only the beginning, the question hanging out there makes you shiver. Where will the next big shake hit? And are we truly ready to face it? 2. Ground cracking in Barra Vieja, Acapulco. The earth slowly tearing apart. It's no longer just a quick shake, but a moment when the ground really changes shape. In a video taken in Barra Vieja, a suburb of Acapulco, the land where folks live starts showing a clear crack running along an open area next to homes right after the Guerrero earthquake. No big bang, no loud collapse, just a slow splitting that's enough to give you chills. The video spreading on social media shows the crack opening up in what used to be flat ground, about 1 to 2 feet wide and 3 to 5 feet deep, stretching for dozens of feet through a lightly populated spot. The person filming is standing not far away, voice shaking as he realizes the ground under his feet isn't solid like it was a few hours earlier. In that moment, you can probably feel the unease creeping in with every breath. Some local folks say this area was already hit hard by Hurricane Otis late in 2025, leaving the soil softer and easier to shift. The magnitude 6.5 quake on the morning of January 2nd, 2026, is seen as the final push that moved the underground layers. Early reports say no one was hurt, but local authorities have closed off the area to watch for the crack getting bigger. In Isaiah 24-19, it says, "The earth is broken up, the earth is split apart, the earth is violently shaken." This Bible verse doesn't describe sudden destruction, but a process of cracking, just like how the ground in Barra Vieja quietly splits on camera. For many believers, this isn't just a geological event, but a picture that speaks to the state of the world today. Geologists offer a different explanation. They say it's liquefaction, where the soil loses its strength from strong shaking, common after earthquakes in weak ground areas. Similar things happened in Japan in 2011 and California before that. Science sees the mechanism, faith sees the meaning, and both views sit side by side for anyone watching. So for you, is this video just the physical aftermath of an earthquake, or a sign that the ground and even the foundations of our lives is starting to crack? When things we thought were solid aren't anymore, each of us has to answer that question in our own way. No matter how you look at it, the crack in Barra Vieja is a clear reminder the earth can change in an instant. And if this is just the first effect after the shaking, what might happen when bigger movements show up? There's still a lot hidden in the darkness ahead. 3. Chemtrails evolving, strange clouds, Jacob's ladder being pulled down. These unusual long streaks of clouds show up, hanging in the sky like giant chalk marks way up high, making a scene that's both mysterious and a little unsettling. Plenty of folks look up and wonder, is this just some weather thing? Or maybe a sign sent down right when the world's feeling its most confused? Late December 2025 into early 2026, skies over a lot of places in the US had these clouds stretching for dozens of miles, thin but sharp-edged, not fading fast like regular contrails. In Houston on January 1st, 2026, a punch-hole type cloud was caught on camera, stretching from around 30,000 feet up, spreading out and dimming the sunlight. Videos going around online show them lasting a long time, like the skies being redrawn right in front of us. Do you think this is more than just a normal natural event? In the Bible, Joel 2:30 says plainly, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and billows of smoke." When these cloud streaks stand still like pillars of smoke in the air, a lot of people believe it's not just physics, it's a quiet hint reminding us that the sky's never been some empty nothing. This phenomenon quickly sparked debates. Science calls them contrails, or the result of special weather conditions, and cloud seeding is explained as a controlled way to make rain. Some states like South Carolina are even talking about limiting projects tied to weather modification, while big media outlets see chemtrail worries as just conspiracy theories. But the question hangs there. If it's all random, why do they show up so thick and strange right when the world's going through so much turmoil? Luke 21:25 talks about the scene. "There will be signs in the sun moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity. Put that Bible verse next to the panic of millions looking up at these long cloud streaks, and it's hard to deny the odd connection between those ancient words and what's happening today. Some folks see in them a modern Jacob's ladder, a symbol calling people to look upward, repent, and turn back to faith. Others say any religious link is just us projecting our shared fears. The two sides keep going side by side, neither with enough proof to end the argument, and that in-between spot makes the whole thing even more haunting. Revelation 8-5 describes, "The angel took the censer and hurled it on the earth, and there came peals of thunder, rumblings." The Bible here isn't handing down judgment. It's like one last gentle nudge. Before any reckoning, there are always signs for us to look at ourselves. So for you, are these long clouds just science, or a soft whisper reminding us that faith is still waiting to wake up? 4. Strange object flying over Charlotte, USA. 5 candles burning bright in the night. A video popped up right after midnight on New Year's 2026, showing the sky over Charlotte getting lit up by a bright object streaking across the dark, like someone had just struck a match up there in the air. When you look at that footage, the first feeling isn't really curiosity, it's more like a chill, because that light doesn't look like a familiar shooting star or New Year's fireworks. It has order to it, a clear shape, and it seems purposeful. In the video, the object is flying at around 10,000 feet, leaving a glowing trail that's about 5 miles long enough for folks to spot its unusual structure. When the camera zooms in, the light splits into 5 clear burning points, connected like 5 candles flickering in the breeze, with golden and red colors mixing together, moving in perfect sync. It's not just something we're watching anymore. It feels like we're right there in the moment, caught between amazement and a bit of unease. The next few seconds get your heart racing. The object doesn't drop, doesn't break apart, doesn't fade out. It just glides steadily over uptown Charlotte and vanishes beyond the skyline. That's when a lot of people think of the words in Luke 21:11. There will be great signs in the heavens and terrifying wonders. That Bible verse doesn't explain what's happening, but it does stir up this sense that the sky has never been just a quiet backdrop. After the initial shock, experts chime in. Some astronomers say it might be a meteor burning up in the atmosphere. Others mention drones or a chain of satellites like Starlink that have caused mix-ups before. But even they admit, meteors rarely hold a steady formation like that, and drones don't usually reach those heights or follow that kind of path. Right there, where science meets uncertainty, Revelation 1:12 comes to mind like a symbolic hint. I saw 7 golden lampstands. What sets this video apart isn't just the shape of 5 candles, it's the orderly way it moves, as if that light is being arranged on purpose. For many folks, it brings to mind lights being lit to guide or illuminate, not to destroy. Matthew 24-30 says, "Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky." Those words don't claim this is that sign, but they put us in a place where we have to look up instead of down. As the debates keep going, the video just sits there like a quiet witness. It doesn't shout or explain itself. It just repeats the same unspoken question. Where did that light come from? And who was it meant for? As someone watching it on a screen, we're not forced to decide, but it's hard to brush off the feeling that something is trying to remind us of, well, something. If those 5 candles really were lights kindled in the darkness, then the story isn't over yet. The video ends, but the sky is still there, and the waiting goes on. Who knows, maybe the next appearance won't just be caught on camera, but truly understood. 5. Heavy lake effect snow in Oswego, New York, buried in ice-cold freeze. The cold doesn't come in loud. It just slips into Oswego like a breath that's gone quiet. The first morning of 2026 opens with a heavy gray sky, pale light bouncing off snow so deep it's almost suffocating. The city on Lake Ontario feels locked in place. Everyday sounds gone, just the wind howling through streets covered in white. In less than 24 hours, lake-effect snow poured down without stopping, piling up to 4 feet and turning roads into icy mazes. Cars got buried completely, traffic shut down, and folks couldn't go anywhere but stay inside, watching the world outside freeze solid. Shopping centers sat quiet. Signs turned off. Oswego felt like it dropped into some unwanted holiday. Videos going around show snowplows stuck in the White Sea, rescue crews moving slow in winds gusting to 50 miles an hour. You see roofs sagging, entrances blocked off, and that feeling of being cut off in every clip. It's not just weather anymore. It's like being trapped, with the whole community forced to stop and wait it out. The Bible shows up here not as comfort, but as a stern warning. Joel 2:2 says, "A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like dawn spread over the mountains, a great and powerful people comes." This cold isn't just covering the ground. It's covering human pride, making us face how fragile we really are. Snow keeps falling, and the warning goes on in Isaiah 28:2. "Behold, the Lord has one who is mighty and strong, like a storm of hail, a destroying tempest. He will hurl it down to the earth with his hand." In Oswego, that power doesn't need fire or thunder. Just ice is enough to paralyze a modern city. Of course, weather experts give the usual explanation. Lake effect snow, when cold air sweeps over the warmer lake, creating those unusual heavy bands. They say it's natural, based on climate data, and it's happened before. That makes sense, and it's fair to listen. The question isn't why does snow fall, but why now? With record strength like this, Revelation 16:21 talks about huge hailstones falling from heaven, like a final charge against a world that won't listen. The freeze in Oswego feels like a reminder. When everything locks up in ice, that's when people finally pause. If this winter drags on, if other cities get buried in this icy quiet one by one, is it just a weather cycle or a warning bell getting louder? Oswego's gone silent under the snow, and the open question is, where will it hit next? 6. Flooding in San Diego, California. Water reaching car roofs. Everything happened so fast, with no time to get ready. In the early morning of January 1, 2026, San Diego woke up to heavy rain pouring down hard. The streets quickly turned into rushing rivers, and the water rose so quickly that many folks could only stand there watching their familiar city disappear in the cold gray haze. In just a few hours, the area got as much rain as it usually sees in a whole month. Even though this part of California is normally pretty dry, many spots recorded over 2 inches of rain. The drainage systems got overwhelmed, and the San Diego River rose about 7.5 feet, overflowing its banks and flooding low-lying neighborhoods. Roads that were once busy with traffic were now just murky water, reflecting the flashing lights from emergency crews. The chaos spread quickly. Floodwaters up to 4 feet deep rushed through residential areas, sweeping away cars, knocking down fences, and wrecking stores. Hundreds of emergency calls came in over a short time. Rescue teams worked in dangerous conditions, and in many places, they couldn't do much because the current was too strong. Plenty of families lost everything they owned in one morning, and New Year's Day started with a quiet sense of despair after the storm. In moments like that, we realize how fragile things are that we thought were solid. Homes, cars, plans for the new year, all of it got carried away in the same cold rush of water, leaving an empty feeling that's hard to describe. This isn't just someone else's story anymore. It's a reminder that no modern city is safe from the power of nature. The Bible comes to mind as a way to make sense of it. Genesis 7:11 says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened." The image of those windows of heaven opening up makes the rain in San Diego feel like more than just bad weather. It brings back memories of a time of judgment that changed human history. Matthew 24-38, sheds more light on what's happening today. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day when Noah entered the ark. Life went on as usual, calm and ordinary, right up until the waters came, and San Diego seems to have lived through that very moment on the first day of the new year. Climate experts warn about extreme weather getting more common. Officials admit the infrastructure can't always keep up with these harsh changes, and regular folks are left cleaning up mud and water, feeling uneasy. But when you look at it through the eyes of faith, this flood feels like a serious wake-up call, making us think again about how we're living and what we're really trusting in. If rains like this don't stop, if the water keeps rising in places we thought were safe, could this just be the beginning of bigger challenges ahead? And when the next flood comes, where will we stand in that story? 7. Strange atmospheric phenomena like sun halos and auroras, wonderful lights over snowy mountains. On the snow-covered mountain ranges, the sky suddenly changed, with lights appearing in a way unlike any familiar sunrise or sunset. Those round halos of light, those quiet glowing streaks hanging in the air, were enough to make us pause and look a little longer, as if something was being revealed that the eye doesn't easily catch. What followed had a truly magical feel. On the high mountain slopes, a sun halo appeared as a wide ring of light, about 22 degrees across, crossed by bright lines that met in the middle, giving the sense of a glowing cross. When night fell, red and purple auroras spread across the horizon, reflecting off the snow and making the whole area feel like a huge cathedral with no roof. In that moment, it's hard not to think of old descriptions of glory coming down from above, and the feeling we all share is one of awe and quiet wonder. As those images kept spreading, the Bible came up like a familiar echo. Acts 2:19 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and billows of smoke." Those words don't explain the sights, but they put them in a bigger picture, where the sky isn't just empty space but a place that sends messages. Scientists then weighed in with a different view. They say a sun halo forms when sunlight bends through ice crystals floating in the air, and auroras come from strong solar activity in solar cycle 25, when charged particles hit Earth's magnetic field. The increase in sightings from 2024 to 2026 fits the predictions, especially in higher latitude areas where these things are easier to see. But the Bible comes up again, this time like an explanation from another angle. Luke 21:25 notes, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars." Science talks about how it happens, while the Bible talks about what it means. One answers, "Why does it occur?" The other opens up, "What's it for?" Between those two views, which explanation do you lean toward? Or do both just exist side by side? As the lights kept covering the mountain peaks, Revelation 21:23 got mentioned again as a kind of promise. The city does not need the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp. These halos and aurora displays, whether explained by physics or faith, have the same effect. They draw our eyes upward, away from everyday worries. The final thought isn't about rejecting science or making revelation absolute, but about that sense of being awakened. The lights over the snowy mountains might just be weather events, but they could also remind us that the sky has never been silent. And if those glowing rings keep showing up, the real question isn't when they'll stop, but where they're drawing our gaze. 8. A volcano erupting with hot lava flowing and flames judging all. This volcano doesn't just burn rocks, it burns the illusion that we have plenty of time left. And the big unknown still hangs over the horizon. If the lava reaches the ocean, what will change color first? The sea, the sky, or the way of life we thought was solid and lasting? Erupting with bright red lava and flames judging all. It exploded right at the start of the year. Kilauea didn't give any warning. It just poured out fire over Hawaii like a headline, ripping through the calm air, making us hold our breath and watch every minute. That feeling is so familiar. When the earth and sky shift their rhythm, people can only stand still, listen to the roar from deep underground, and wonder where we fit in this picture. The fire poured out fiercely. The rough, lava flow twisted like a living creature, about 656 feet wide and nearly 23 feet high, moving slow but steady without stopping. Local authorities quickly issued warnings, marked off danger zones, closed roads, and got ready for evacuations. Suddenly, time turned into the enemy. Every hour that passed meant more land and homes were at risk. Folks looked toward the mountain slope, weighing their choices hard, because up there was everything they'd built over a lifetime, while down here was safety for today. Scientists kept close watch, noting fountains shooting up thousands of feet high, worried that pressure and flow direction could shift without notice. Prediction models got updated constantly, but nature doesn't make promises to people. In that moment, we realize time isn't on our side. It's on the side of deeper laws that no data can fully capture. Amid the fire and ash, the Bible comes through like a final judgment, not just a gentle reminder. Revelation 8:8 put it down long ago, and it echoes now. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea. Those words put fire in the place of judgment. No arguing, no delaying. As the lava keeps flowing, another verse closes off any excuses from reason. Psalm 97:5 reminds us, "The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of all the earth." Here, fire isn't just a geology event anymore. It's a measure of how fragile human power and the time we're holding really are. Volcanologists still talk about cycles, about Kilauea's normal breathing rhythm, and technical ways to cut down risks. That kind of thinking is needed. It even saves lives. But set it next to Isaiah 30-33. He has made it deep and wide. The breath of the Lord, like a stream of sulfur, kindles it. And science and faith stand before the same fire, each shining light on a different side of the truth. This fire doesn't just burn rocks. It burns the illusion that we have plenty of time left. And the big unknown still hangs over the horizon. If the lava reaches the ocean, what will change color first? The sea, the sky, or the way of life we thought was solid and lasting? 9. A strange object fell across the night sky, leaving a tear in the dark. The sky in early January 2026 got ripped open for a quick but fierce moment when a green streak cut across the horizon like a fresh wound. That light didn't drop straight down or fade right away. It stretched out, trembling, leaving us standing there frozen for a few seconds before we even figured out what had happened. No need for any introduction. That moment was dramatic enough on its own. From weather reports, this lined up with the peak of the quadrantid meteor shower, known for its fast speed and unusual bright fireballs. In St. Louis and along the East Coast, lots of folks saw a blue-green object shoot down at the same time, leaving a trail miles long before it vanished into the dark. The light wasn't white like regular shooting stars. It was deep green, cold and sharp, like a rip torn right across the night sky. The overwhelming feeling didn't just come from how bright it was, but from the mark it left behind. The streak didn't disappear fast. It faded slowly like smoke, making witnesses feel like the sky had just been touched. In that instant, it's hard not to wonder, is this just some physical event or a sign being shown right in front of us? The Bible mentions moments like this in a warning tone. Luke 21:25 says beforehand, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity." When that green light fell and the sky seemed ripped open, those words suddenly felt closer than ever. No longer just distant pictures from an old prophecy. It doesn't stop there. Revelation 6:13 describes it even clearer. The stars in the sky fell to earth, as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. The image of stars falling loses its romantic feel. It's about crashing down. sudden and out of control. That green streak, seen from the ground, looked like a living example of that warning. Of course, scientists give a solid explanation. They say it was a quadrantid meteor, green from nickel in the atmosphere, and the long trail from its high speed and low angle. Those arguments make sense, hold together, and have been right many times before. Still, the debate comes from the feeling it left. Why does it match the Bible's warning language so strangely? The sky keeps sending signals that make us stop and think. That green shooting star might just be rock and light, but it could also remind us that things up above have never been completely quiet. And if tears like that show up more and more, will the sky still look the same as we're used to? 10. A strange pillar of light behind the forest, a flickering Hanukkah candle. In those deep winter nights, from late 2025 into early 2026, behind the quiet snow-covered forest, a pillar of light stretched straight up into the sky. It felt warm and holy, making everything around it seem to slow down, like we were stepping into a sacred moment. The light wasn't blinding, but it was enough to catch our eye and hold it there. It stood still, with several thin branches that brought to mind a Hanukkah, twinkling in the long, dark night. In that stillness, anyone watching felt invited to pause, listen, and wonder what this light was trying to tell us. In Utqiagvik, Alaska, during the long polar night that lasts right up to January 22nd, 2026, a pillar of light hundreds of feet tall rose from the edge of the snow-covered forest. Stars reflected off the snow. Everything sparkled, and that pillar stood there like a watchman's lamp. The scene was so real it gave you chills, yet mysterious, like something out of an ancient revelation. Exodus 13:21 says, "The Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them by day, and in a pillar of fire by night to give them light." In that moment, the pillar of fire didn't feel like some distant old story. It seemed to come alive again in the snowy forests of today. As the light gently swayed in the cold wind, those watching felt like they weren't just outsiders anymore. We were part of it, sharing the quiet, opening our hearts to a sign that was gentle yet powerful, as if even the darkness was stepping aside. Psalm 18:28 rings out like an answer. "You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light." This light didn't just chase away the night. It shone inside us, right where we get lost most when the world feels uncertain. Scientists explain it differently. They call them light pillars, an optical effect when ice crystals hanging in the air reflect artificial lights, common in very cold places. To them, it's just the right mix of temperature, humidity, and light, a perfect bit of nature's math. But Revelation 21:24 opens another layer. The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their splendor into it. Between science and faith, one side explains how the light appears, the other asks why it touches our hearts so deeply. Looking at both views, science gives us the how, and the Bible gives us the why. One says the light comes from ice and lamps. The other reminds us light has always stood for guidance. So for you, which matters more in a moment like that? The real point isn't picking sides. It's the awakening. Whether it's an optical phenomenon or a holy sign, that pillar did its job. It drew our eyes upward, away from the heavy ground of worry and fear. And if in the nights ahead, more pillars like this keep showing up, quiet and steady, are we ready to follow that light? Or will we still turn away from its gentle call, burning in the dark? These 10 recent events don't stand alone. They line up next to each other, like the deep, resonant notes of a strange symphony. When we put them together, from earthquakes and rising waters to erupting fires and lights appearing in the sky, we can spot a familiar rhythm, the rhythm of signs. Not to scare us, but to wake up the conscience that's been sleeping in the middle of our noisy everyday lives. The Bible mentioned this moment long ago in 2 Timothy 3:1. You should know this, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. These words aren't meant to set a date or time. but to get our hearts ready. When the world feels unsteady, that's exactly when we need a solid anchor, something stronger than any system, any technology, or any promise this world can offer. Looking back at those 10 events, maybe the scariest thing isn't the heavy snow, the big floods, or the raging fires. It's our indifference. Jesus warned us in Matthew 24:42. So keep watch, because you don't know on what day your Lord is coming. Staying watchful doesn't mean panicking. It means slowing down a bit, looking deeper, and asking ourselves again about the path we're on. You might be reading these words in a perfectly ordinary moment of your day, but that's often when the invitation rings out the clearest. We can choose to brush it off, or we can choose to listen. And sometimes, just a quiet prayer whispered in your heart is enough to start a change you never saw coming. The Bible says in Joel 2:12, "Yet even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning." Turning back isn't about fear of punishment. It's about coming home to simple faith, to humility, and to the hope that grace is still there for anyone who seeks it. If you can, leave a short prayer in the comments below, or just share an honest thought you're having right now. Not to prove anything, but to mark a moment when you paused and listened to that call in your soul. Sometimes that prayer isn't just for you. It can lift up someone else who's quietly reading along. And if these messages touch you, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we don't miss any of these gentle reminders on our faith journey. Not for the channel itself, but because they might arrive just when someone needs them most. Finally, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for staying with us to the end. May the Lord give you and your family peace in this new year, keep you safe through uncertain days, and light your path ahead with His light. As it says in Numbers 6:24-26, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace." Amen.
It's more delayed.
And we know this really could not have come at a worse time for those travel.
So this is hi from Amsterdam. Happy New Year. Not so happy. Someone was stupid.
Oh la dinguerie! En gros, bouge, bouge, bouge.
Do you feel like the world is spinning out of control faster than usual these days? As 2026 just begins, snow buries whole cities, fires burn down historic places, and strange lights fill the sky like whispers from heaven. Everything is coming at us so fast it takes your breath away, like a ticking time bomb counting down. In just the short stretch from December 31st, 2025 to January 2nd, 2026, record-breaking blizzards tore through America, tornadoes ripped across the sky, churches caught fire, massive floods swallowed Aceh, and Mount Etna erupted fiercely. These disasters aren't scattered anymore, they're piling up one after another, like the urgent beat of a drum as time runs out. Do you think this is all just coincidence? Or is it something planned? This isn't only bad luck. A lot of folks believe these are warnings from God, calling people to repent before it's too late. And now, let's take a closer look at those 10 shocking events. Are you ready to face what might be coming? If your heart skips a beat, please leave a prayer in the comments below so God can hear your voice and keep you and your family safe through the coming year. Amen. And so you don't have to wait long. Right now, we're going to dive straight into 1. Crazy blizzard in Oswego, New York. The new year had just started when America got hit with a real cold shock. Snow came down hard and fast on Oswego, New York, turning the whole town by Lake Ontario into a frozen mess overnight on December 31, 2025. It showed up without any warning, like an early heads-up from the cold, and we headed into 2026, feeling like time was dragging on forever, as if nature wouldn't let anyone get ready. Oswego is used to lake-effect snowstorms, But the winter of 2025 to 2026 broke all the old records. In just a few hours, the snow piled up higher, winds whipped stronger, and the sky closed in tight. Roads that were usually busy just vanished under all that white, and the usual safe feeling of a new year quickly turned into worry spreading everywhere. From the evening of December 31, 2025, through the early morning of January 2, 2026, winds gusted around 40 miles per hour, blowing straight into town and whipping snow into blinding walls that made it almost impossible to see. Snow buildup in Oswego and nearby areas went over 40 inches, while Watertown got another 12 to 24 inches, Buffalo around 12 inches, and Erie hit 24 inches. Power went out, roads shut down, lots of neighborhoods were cut off completely, and rescue teams had a tough time in the bad conditions getting to each house. Weather experts explain this comes from lake effect snow, when Arctic cold air rushes down over the warmer Lake Ontario, making thick bands of steady snow. Since 2024, these kinds of storms have happened about 50% more often and stronger, partly because of climate changes making bigger temperature differences. The economic damage is guessed in the millions of dollars, with traffic stopped, supply chains broken, and everyday life frozen solid. In that all-white scene, the Bible comes to mind more as a gentle reminder than a judgment. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events, and great signs from heaven." These words don't explain the science of the storm, but they put it in a line of warnings that have been around for a long time. Oswego is just the starting point, a chilly news story kicking off a string of unsettled days. With the snow still not melted, our sense of safety has already been shaken, leaving a question hanging in the air. If this is only the beginning, what's waiting up ahead? And when this ice starts to crack, will the next storm be strong enough to swallow more than just one town? 2. Trumpet-shaped tornado in an American suburb. The video starts with a gray sky that's torn open, and right in the middle of the frame is a tornado shaped like nothing you've ever seen before. It's not wide and bulging like the usual funnel. Instead, it's long and slender, narrowing, and then widening out, just like a giant trumpet standing upright in the American suburbs on the morning of January 1, 2026. That sight grabs you and won't let go, because the question hits you right away. Is this really just a regular tornado? Or is something else being blown from the sky? In the clip that's spreading fast, the tornado twists slowly, with a narrow base and a body stretching hundreds of feet, hanging there like it's looking for a spot to touch the ground. Houses in the suburban area, said to be near Minneapolis, shake hard. Trees snap and fall. Roofs get ripped off. But what really gives you chills isn't just the wind. It's the strange shape of it. When you watch frame by frame, it doesn't feel like a weather event. It feels like watching a living symbol caught on a security camera. That's where the Bible comes up for a lot of folks, as a way to make sense of that odd image. Revelation 8-6 says, "The 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets got ready to blow them." Those old words don't talk about tornadoes, but the picture of a trumpet sounding in a chaotic sky makes plenty of people think that some signs aren't just for seeing. They're meant to wake us up. On the other hand, from a scientific view, weather experts give a completely different explanation. They say it's a rare type of tornado that forms when there's strong wind shear vertically, mixed with unusually warm, moist air in the middle of winter, creating that narrow, stretched-out structure. America is no stranger to tornadoes, but the winter of 2026 kicked off with events that break the rules. Following 2025, when there was an EF5 recorded in North Dakota and a similar trumpet tornado case in Utah. 2 ways of seeing it sit side by side in the same video. One, as an apocalyptic symbol, the other as cold, data-based weather analysis. The video has no narration, but that silence pushes you to decide for yourself how to take it. For you, when you see that trumpet-shaped tornado twisting slowly across the sky, what comes to mind? A rare weather oddity, or a signal being sounded to remind us of something bigger? No matter how you explain it, the truth is still there. The wind roared, the images were captured, and that uneasy feeling is hard to shake. When the tornado faded without taking any lives, it left behind a puzzling emptiness, as if its purpose wasn't destruction, but a warning. And now that this trumpet has appeared, the haunting question hangs in the air. If this is the opening blast, where will the next one sound? 3. Fire at the Vondelkerk in Amsterdam. In the early hours of New Year's Day, when many families were still sharing wishes for peace, flames swallowed up the Vondelkerk, a church over 150 years old, right in the heart of Amsterdam. Thick black smoke rose quietly into the sky, leaving a deep sense of loss and sorrow. Amid the sound of fireworks welcoming the new year, did you notice it almost sounded like the quiet weeping of memories turning to ash? Built back in 1872, the Vondelkerk started as a place of worship and later became a cultural spot for city events. But in the early morning of January 1st, 2026, a burst of New Year's Eve fireworks turned history into a sea of fire. Across the Netherlands, there were 2 deaths, a record number of over 250 arrests for violence. And in the middle of all that chaos, the Vondelkerk stood as a painful symbol of a night that was supposed to be full of joy. The fire started around 12:45 a.m. and spread quickly up the old tower. In no time, the bell tower, about 164 feet high, collapsed, cutting power to around 90 nearby homes and forcing people in the area to evacuate in a panic. No one was hurt at the scene, but officials had to admit it can't be saved. Those pictures bring back memories of the Notre Dame fire in 2019, where rebuilding costs ran into hundreds of millions of dollars. But some things lost can never be bought back, no matter the price. In those ashes, the Bible rings out like a stern warning. Matthew 24:2 says, "Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down." The words don't mention Amsterdam, but the image feels all too familiar. Historic stones crumbling, and at the same time, human pride laid bare. And this isn't just one isolated case. In 2024, Europe saw reports of many church fires and attacks linked to extremism and hatred. When places of worship burn, it's not just wood and stone going up in flames. It's the spiritual memories of whole communities being violated. Psalm 74:7 warns, "They burned your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the dwelling place of your name." Of course, arguments broke out right away. Some say it was just a fireworks accident, and we shouldn't read religious meaning into it. Others believe these repeated events point to a deeper moral crisis, where celebrations push aside reverence. Among all these differing views, where do you stand? A random mishap or a warning we're ignoring? What's undeniable is that a clear message of caution has appeared. Isaiah 1:21 describes, "The faithful city has become a prostitute, full of injustice." When religious symbols become mere formality, collapse isn't surprising anymore. The fire didn't just burn a building, it shines a light right on the state of our true faith. The church has burned, the embers are still smoldering, and the question hangs in the air over Europe. If a historic place of worship can vanish in just a few hours, can the others hold strong against the fires of the end times that seem to be spreading? 4. Bar fire in Crans, Montana, Switzerland. At 1:30 inches the morning on New Year's Day, the La Constellation Bar in Crans, Montana suddenly turned into a nightmare. The music got drowned out by panicked screams. Thick black smoke rolled in and swallowed the lights, turning the fun spot into a deadly trap. Videos that spread online show people pushing desperately to get out, every second feeling like it could mean life or death. The fire started in the basement, they say, and spread fast through the ventilation system, while blocked emergency exits left the crowd with nowhere to run. Bodies collapsed in the toxic smoke, arms reaching out helplessly for rescue. It all creates this suffocating sense of no way out. Just imagine being there for a moment. The music fades, and all that's left is the heat, and pure terror. The aftermath hits hard, cold as the numbers. 47 dead, 115 badly injured, many flown out by helicopter because local hospitals couldn't handle it all. Switzerland declared 5 days of national mourning. Condolences poured in from around the world, but the loss is something you can't put a measure on. One night of New Year's celebration, and a whole generation of memories gone. This tragedy brings back memories of the Kiss nightclub fire in Brazil back in 2013, where 242 people lost their lives to fire and toxic smoke. Two disasters more than 10 years apart, but the same old story. Flammable materials, lax safety checks, and that wrong idea that it won't happen here. 1 Thessalonians 5-3 warns about it. When people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly. Early reports on the cause have sparked a lot of debate. Some say it was just an unpredictable technical accident. Others question management responsibility, fire safety standards, and loose inspections at high-end entertainment spots. Amid all the opinions, one thing's undeniable: people paid with their lives. The Bible comes in here like a strong warning against modern complacency. Revelation 18-8 says, "Therefore, in one day her plagues will overtake her: death, mourning, and famine. She will be consumed by fire." Those words aren't just about one city or building. They're about a whole way of life that thinks lights and music can hide every danger. The fire in Crans, Montana didn't just burn down a bar. It lit up worries about a chaotic future where similar disasters could happen again if warnings keep getting ignored. 47 souls gone that dark night. How many more names will end up on the next list of heartbreak? 5. A strange cross-shaped object in the Australian sky. The Australian sky on New Year's night opened up to something hard to put into words. In the quiet darkness, a glowing object shaped like a cross hung there, its golden light sparkling as if lit from beyond the clouds. That moment made people pause, because something inside told them not every night brings signs like this, and we were facing something beyond our usual way of explaining things. The object moved slowly and smoothly, like it was drifting, with no sound at all and no smoke trail, just pure light hanging in the air. In the videos going around, the cross would brighten and then fade, almost like it was breathing along with the sky. A holy feeling spread through everyone, and an unusual quiet fell over the crowd below, where many folks just stood still, nobody wanting to break that moment. The setting made it all the more mysterious. Sydney had seen cross-shaped clouds on Good Friday the year before, and there were strange lights in Queensland, blamed on rockets or satellites. But this time, the cross shape was clear. The light didn't look like normal reflections, and its path didn't match any announced flight routes. Matthew 24-30 came to mind like a gentle hint. "Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." Experts jumped in right away. Some said it was a rare atmospheric thing, light bending from ice crystals. Others mentioned test aircraft or space debris reflecting lights into a cross shape. Online folks picked apart every frame, measuring angles of light and comparing speeds. But no explanation had that final piece. Science tried to figure it out, but the more they looked, the less certain it seemed. In that gap, the Bible didn't come to argue. It just quietly pointed toward a deeper meaning in the sign. The cross has long stood for sacrifice and redemption, and when it showed up in the night sky at the start of the year, many felt a soft reminder. Faith isn't the answer to every measurement, but it's the guide for moments we can't measure. The object finally faded into the dark, leaving the sky like it was before, but the feeling stayed. If science can't give the last word, and faith quietly opens a door, which way do you lean when you think about that cross hanging up there? One thing's for sure, the message of salvation got brought up again just as the world stepped into a year full of worry. And with the cross appearing like that, the question hangs heavy. Are bigger signs coming soon? 6. The pink glow in Japan's sky. Japan's night sky suddenly lit up in a way nobody expected. Videos spread like wildfire early on New Year's morning, showing the space above coastal cities bathed in bright pink, like a glowing curtain hanging in the air. It shocked folks so much that many just stood there frozen. The first feeling wasn't, "Wow, that's pretty," but uneasy, as if the sky had changed color to send some urgent warning. The glow didn't flash and vanish. It spread out slow and wide and deep, covering the whole horizon. That pink wasn't soft, or like city lights. It had a thick, heavy tone, making the sky look like it was shining from the inside. In the videos, buildings sat quiet under this strange light, while people below looked confused. No explosion sounds, no meteor shower, no alerts beforehand. Auroras are rare in Japan, but scientists soon explained it, pointing to the strong solar activity cycle in 2026. High-energy particles hitting the atmosphere caused this unusual aurora at lower latitudes. Some experts warned about possible effects on power grids and satellites, like what happened in the US and Europe from 2024 to 2025, when skies lit up on New Year's Eve too. Science explains the how, but not the feeling. For many watching those videos, the worry wasn't just the light, it was what it might mean. Amid the technical breakdowns, the Bible came up as another way to read the same sign. Joel 2:30 got quoted again. "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and billows of smoke." With that pink covering the sky at the start of the year, those words suddenly felt more real than ever. The two views side by side make a clear contrast. One talks particles, magnetic fields, and solar cycles. The other sees a warning sign, the sky shifting color to wake people up. Science reassures it's a rare natural event. The Bible suggests these wonders in the heavens come before big changes. Between those two takes, which one do you lean toward when you see that bright pink sky on New Year's night? The glow finally faded, leaving the usual dark sky, but that uneasy feeling lingered. Comments kept saying it. This wasn't just light, it was a reminder the world is heading into more unpredictable days. And as that pink vanished from Japan's sky, one question hung in the air. Was it just harmless beauty? Or the first hint of darker things ahead? 7. The fireworks accident in Iran. The square was lit up bright, music pounding, and crowds packed in tight on New Year's Eve. The fireworks celebration in Iran kicked off with laughter, folks holding up their phones to capture the moment the new year rolled in. As the sky got ready to light up, nobody figured that just seconds later, all that shared happiness would get torn apart, and the big gathering would turn into a haunting memory. In the videos going around, the chaos hit almost right away. Fireworks shot down low instead of up into the sky, sparks flying straight into the crowd. Explosions boomed close to the ground, screams overlapping, panicked people trampling each other trying to get out. Looking at that scene, it's easy to feel the fear spreading faster than the flames, and the sense that any one of us could have been standing there. The damage was reported quick. Hundreds got burns and injuries from the crush. Many rushed to the hospital in emergencies. Some didn't make it. Fire caught on decorations. Thick smoke covered the whole area, making rescue efforts even harder. Those casualty numbers aren't just cold stats. They mean families shattered in a moment they'd waited all year for. In the middle of it all, the Bible gets brought up like a strong warning against ignoring risks and lives. Revelation 9:18 hits hard. A third of mankind was killed by the 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and sulfur that came out of their mouths. When fireworks, a symbol of joy, turn into fire and smoke in the middle of a crowd, those words suddenly carry a different weight, like an accusation against the habit of brushing off consequences. Debates flared up right away. One side says it was just a technical mishap, from wrong setup or unsafe gear in loose oversight. Another questions putting on a big crowd event with high-power fireworks when safety warnings have been around for ages. On the flip side, Some push back against attaching religious meaning to a tragedy, calling it too emotional. Those differing views sit side by side. They don't cancel each other out, but they're not easy to reconcile either. Still, what's undeniable is how thin the line is between celebration and disaster, thinner than we think. When New Year's Eve turns into a night of fire and crying, the warning becomes clear. Ignoring community safety always comes at a cost. It's repeated in lots of comments. This isn't just one isolated accident, but a sign of growing problems spreading across festivals worldwide. Fire fell from the sky into the New Year crowd, and as the ashes settle, the question hangs open for the future. Will global celebrations learn the lesson before the next joy gets burned away by the very light people created? 8. Floods on the Bobo River in Aceh, Indonesia. In just a few shaky frames from quick-shot videos, the Bobo River in Aceh burst its banks, sweeping mud and trash right into the villages early on New Year's morning. The new year had barely started when it got swallowed up, and watching that murky water surge without warning, the shared feeling is nobody was ready for an opening like this. The water came up so fast it took your breath away. Roads to hospitals got cut off. Low roofs vanished after a few hours. Rice paddies and coffee groves sank deep in the muck. In the videos, folks stand on tin roofs waving for help, eyes worn out, calls for rescue blending with the roar of rushing water. A new year kicks off with total despair, where hope gets carried off with every muddy swell. The numbers hit you hard. From November 2025 to early 2026, Aceh saw over 1,000 people killed, close to 400,000 evacuated, thousands of hectares of farmland wrecked. This flood cut off places like Gayo Luz completely, so aid depends on choppers and pleas for help from abroad. Hearing those figures on day one of the year, it's not just heartache, but worry about what's coming next. The question comes up, why, with the old year wrapped up, doesn't the trouble end? Weather experts blame it on weirdly long rains, plus hilly land, and cut down forests that can't hold the water anymore. Climate change strings these wild events together, and Aceh ends up as one of the hardest hit spots. Science explains how it works, but it can't ease the hurt for families who lost homes and loved ones right at the New Year's turn. In that scene, the Bible shows up like a charge against the world's mess. Luke 21:25 rings out eerie. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On earth, nations in distress, perplexed by the sea's roar and waves. As river water climbs and engulfs villages, those words aren't vague anymore. They're right there in every muddy shot and sob. Floods aren't just Aceh's problem, but a nudge that we're all paying for how we've handled nature. A line folks say a lot after disasters. The water's rising not only from rain, but from years of built-up errors. The new year starts with people hanging onto rooftops, and the alert stands out sharper than ever. The Bobo will pull back eventually, but the scars stay. And with water still climbing in spots worldwide, the big question dangles. Is this another regular flood, or the start of a fresh great deluge we're not geared up to handle? 9. Landslide in Alta, Norway. A deep, low rumble tore through the quiet of the Arctic region. The ground suddenly cracked open, and a whole section of the shore slid away like it was yanked out of place. Right in that first moment of the new year, wooden homes along the edge vanished, floating straight out into Altafjord, leaving behind a chilling empty space that took your breath away. The landslide scene played out like a movie without any cuts. A stretch of Holocene marine clay hundreds of yards long broke apart, carrying off at least 8 cabins and kicking up big waves that slammed into the cliffs. No one got hurt. A dog was pulled to safety just in time, but the helplessness hung heavy. Folks could only watch, unable to hold back a thing. Put yourself there. Would you stay calm enough to believe the ground under your feet was still solid? The geology facts show this land was always fragile. Marine clay left over from after the Ice Age, shaped by the land rising up afterward, seemed sturdy, but could give way fast if the balance got upset. The 2026 event followed the pattern of ones before, but on a scale recorded as the biggest ever in the area, leaving scientists shaken too. The Bible talked about shakes like this. Matthew 24:7 says, "For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places." Earthquakes, landslides, foundations crumbling. These movements aren't just natural stuff, but signs of a world getting rocked at its core. After the mess, arguments fired up right away. One side says it's just the natural result of climate change and Northern Europe's ground features, something to view through plain science. The other sees it as a holy warning, when nature pushes back against how people exploit and ignore those unseen limits. Which view holds more weight, and where's the line between science and faith? The Bible echoes on like a reminder. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and pestilences, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven." When the earth quakes and coastlines collapse, that message seems to step right off the page, facing today's reality head-on. No denying it. The ground is shifting. Those solid foundations we count on are being tested. This isn't just Alta's story, but a bigger picture of how fragile we are against forces beyond our control. Homes got swallowed by the earth and drifted out to the cold sea. If one chunk of shore can disappear in a blink, what happens when bigger pieces start to move? That question hangs there as the ground under the world keeps on trembling. 10. Etna eruption in Sicily, Italy. The sky over Sicily lit up like it was torn open. From Etna's slopes, bright red lava streams poured out, shooting high before cascading down like rivers of fire, turning the early New Year sunset into a sight so grand it took your breath away. The ancient volcano roared, lighting up the whole Mediterranean horizon. Facing that sea of flames, who could call it just a normal event? Cracks opened up above 7,000 feet, spewing lava more than 5,000 feet high, flowing hard into the Valle del Bove Valley. Mild explosions at Boca Nuova followed last year's activity, building a steady stream with no end in sight. Videos from watchers show an overwhelming but threatening scene, the mountains seeming to breathe fire from deep inside the earth. Experts spoke up quick. Etna's always been an active volcano, but the strength at the start of 2026 had many geologists warning about rising pressure inside. Local officials issued a green alert, saying populated areas weren't directly threatened yet, but worry spread anyway. When nature shows its raw power like that, can safety maps really keep folks at ease? The Bible rings out like a wake-up call. Revelation 8:8 says, "The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea." A mountain on fire, lava pouring out. The picture seems right there in front of us, no longer some distant symbol in Revelation. The timing makes a lot of people think. Some say it's just a thousands-year-old geological cycle, fully explained by science. But others see Etna as a warning torch, fire from the earth reminding us of judgment and limits we can't cross. Between those two views, where does each person stand? Scripture keeps shining on what's happening. Hebrews 12:26 says, "At that time his voice shook the earth, but now he has promised, 'Yet once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens.'" When the ground shakes and fire erupts, faith wakes up not from blind fear, but from knowing this visible world isn't an everlasting foundation. Etna keeps erupting, lava keeps flowing, and people watch from between science and faith. But whatever name you give it, that fire sends a clear message about how fragile our current order is. Lava still crawls down the slopes, glowing red in the night. With the flames not out yet, the question hangs there. Is this just the opening act, or a sign of one final fire that'll spread worldwide? So we've just gone through the chaotic events kicking off 2026 around the world. Which moment made you think the most? Share it in the comments below so everyone can hear. 10 events have rolled by like 10 loud bells ringing in the same dark symphony of our time. From white snow freezing far-off lands to floods swallowing villages, from ground collapsing under people's feet to lava fire pouring up from deep in the earth. Heaven and earth seem to be speaking out together, not scattered, not by chance, but linked in one steady chain of signs, coming fast and hard, impossible to ignore. The Bible talked about times like these. Matthew 24:8 warns, "All these are the beginning of birth pains." When you line up each event side by side, from bitter cold to raging seas, from landslides to volcanoes, a bigger picture starts to show. The world is entering a rough shaking up period where everything we thought was solid gets tested. These signs aren't just about nature. They mirror what's going on in people's hearts too. The confusion, fear, arguing, and division spreading everywhere, like the ground cracking open before it falls. Luke 21:26 says, "People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world." It's not only fear of disasters, but that uneasy feeling when folks realize they're no longer in control of things they thought were sure. In the middle of all this mess, the main message gets clearer. It's no accident these signs keep coming, stronger each time. Amos 3:7 reminds us, "Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants the prophets." Through storms, fire, and floods, a call rings out. Wake up, turn back, take a hard look at the path you're on. The final word isn't some vague threat anymore. It's an urgent cry. God is shouting through this very chaos. Repent or face the end. Not to spread hopelessness, but to offer one last chance to change. Ezekiel 18:32 says it plain, "For I take no pleasure in the death of anyone. Repent and live." But the story isn't over yet. 2026 has only just started, and what we've seen might be only the opening act. When the next sign knocks, will each of us stay quiet or choose to listen? That choice isn't for some far-off tomorrow. It's right here, right now. If something stirs in your heart, a prayer, a thought, or just a quiet concern you can't quite name, feel free to leave it down in the comments. Let's share with each other, so nobody has to face these signs alone. Don't forget to spread the word by liking, sharing, and subscribing, so you don't miss any of the warnings God is sending in these days. May peace be with each one of you and your families in a world that's shaking. Amen.
For many in California, the holiday season has arrived.
En la costa, que no van a hacer llama.
Setting the stage for destructive impacts that would follow.
What's happening when America, the symbol of strength, suddenly seems to tremble before an angry Mother Nature? Roaring waves, rains ripping through the sky, ground cracking open, streets turning into raging rivers, from the coasts to the deep forests, from rivers to the dark of night. 10 disasters hitting one after another like a symphony of destruction. This isn't just random chance. Like the warnings from old prophets, these calamities ring out like alarm bells from above. Time is running short. The familiar order is starting to crack. Do you feel that urgency drawing closer? If each scene is a chapter from Revelation, then the first one's already begun, and the answer is waiting right ahead. So don't miss a single bit of information, and come with me as we dig deeper into the real message hidden behind these natural disasters that seem to be hitting just the United States in recent months. Right now, we're going to start with 1. 3 waterspouts appear off the coast. The ocean was roaring. 3 huge waterspouts suddenly shot straight up into the sky off San Diego, tearing through the deep blue and turning a calm moment into a shocking sight that left us staring at our screens. In the viral video, you can see the sea change color, wind whipping across it, and the horizon broken up by those tall, twisting tubes, like the ocean had just sounded an alarm. Southern California was right in the middle of an atmospheric river then. According to Reuters, heavy rain and strong winds slammed the coast, damaging yachts and waterfront restaurants. The waterspouts showed up just about 5 miles offshore. That weather set the stage for the unbelievable scene. 3 waterspouts forming almost at the same time, twisting hard, their bodies thick with vapor, bases touching the sea, tops reaching the clouds. NBC News described the spouts as hundreds of feet high, knocking over yachts, sweeping away outdoor bars, leaving the water looking like a battlefield, wind howling, waves crashing, debris floating around. Things happened fast. Winds kept shifting. Rain poured down in sheets. The water column spun faster, then slower, then flared up again. An unsteady rhythm that